Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. If you like all things true crime, if you like it delivered in a peaceful, tranquil manner, if you like it clear and concise without drama, then I highly recommend you subscribe. And if you like what you hear, please smash the like button. It's a free way you can help. And now, without further ado, let's dig in. Well, hello, my true crime besties. I hope you guys are having a lovely day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. The story I'm about to tell you is among the most disturbing and mysterious that I have ever heard. It involves a group of 9 close-knit friends, roughly between the ages of 16 and 22, along with some young adult strangers from Texas. In early September of 2023, the young adults gather at Avery Jo Combs' house to celebrate her 22nd birthday. Combs' family members are large landowners in the area around Terrell, Oklahoma, a dusty agricultural town not far from the border with Texas. Think wranglers, cowboy boots, hog hunting, line dancing, and ATVs. The house is one of 3 owned by Avery Jo's family, and it sits on a small dirt road off the highway north of town. Surrounded by fields, the home is the perfect place for a loud and raucous birthday party. Avery Jo is having an extended celebration. 4 days of partying. Over this period, the friends let loose big time. Beer kegs are tapped, vodka cocktails in cans are opened. You get the picture. Some kids head home occasionally to shower and then come back. Some stay at the house the entire time. But pretty much everyone takes their phone out to document the events on social media, in photos and videos. Along with all the fun, some not so nice activities take place. Alcohol. In moderation, it can enhance the fun, but in excess, it can lead what may seem like a slight into angry words, flying fists, and maybe even golf clubs turned into weapons of destruction. Now, at some point during this party, something very bad happens. It's so bad that it will leave one of the friends lying on the edge of a desolate and dark highway, naked, save for a pair of mismatched shoes, one by Adidas and one by Hey Dudes. That person is also deceased. The crumpled body is found just a mile away from the house while the party is still raging. Strangely, a pair of white printed shorts is on the ground several feet from the body. Now we have to travel back to Labor Day weekend of 2023 for this bed crime story. We'll begin our story at around 5:50 a.m. on Monday, September 4th. That's when a local truck driver named Tyler Hardy is driving along Highway 81. Suddenly, he spots something odd-looking on the southbound side of the highway. At first, he thinks it's a deer because that's usually what it is when you see something large and lifeless on the side of the road. But when Hardy gets a closer look, he realizes to his horror that it's a body. Hardy will later tell People magazine this about the body's position. Quote, "It was, I'm not going to say the fetal position, because it wasn't, but his legs were bent and his back was towards the road. His legs were toward the ditch and his head was kind of just laid there right along. His whole body was laid along the white line, but he was laying on what would have been his right side." End quote. Strangely, There's also a pair of neatly folded white shorts on the pavement a few feet away from the body. Hardy immediately dials 911. The call is logged at 5:53 a.m. A second truck driver who passes by the body also dials 911.
What is your emergency?
Hey, on Highway 81, just north of Terrell, in between Terrell and Ryan, Oklahoma. It's probably about 3 miles north of Terrell. Dropping down the road, and I had a bunch of cars behind me, but it looked like somebody got hit, like somebody walking down the highway laying on the shoulder of the road.
It looks like somebody's laying in the road?
Like on the shoulder, like maybe they were walking and somebody hit them, unless it was a deer. It looked like a body.
Okay. You said, so on Highway 81,
in between Ryan and Terrell, just north of Terrell, it's probably about 3 miles. It's kind of in a low spot.
Okay. And is that, gonna be, I'm trying to think which way that highway runs. Is it gonna be on your east, west, north, or south? I'm trying to think. I'm sorry.
It goes north and south. It runs out of Duncan.
Okay, so what side of the road is that on?
It'd be on the west side of the road.
Okay, let me see who I have on duty to go check that out.
It looked awful odd.
Okay. What is your name and number so if the officer has any questions?
It's Tyler, 580.
I will get a hold of the officer and go get it checked out.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. 911, what is your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. I was driving to work. I'm south of Terrell, or north of Terrell, south of Ryan.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's somebody laying dead along the road. They look naked. I'm staying back.
Okay, I just had 2 calls on that, and I have a deputy headed that way.
All right. Well, I'm sitting here blocking the road.
Oh, are you there waiting? Okay.
Because he's the body's laying right on a white line.
Oh, it is a boy. He's naked, and he's laying on the white line. He's naked.
I turned around because I just about hit it because there's a deer run across the road. And I'm like, first I thought it was a deer, and I was talking to a guy I work with. I'm like, I don't think that's a deer.
Yeah, that's what my first caller said. Thought it was a deer, and then when he looked back, and he said, no, there's no way that's a deer.
No. And it actually looks like there's a piece of clothing maybe laying in the middle of the road now. I don't want to get too close.
Jeremy right now. No, this is another 911 call that's looking at it. Oh, she's already been in touch with Jeremy. Okay. Yeah, Jeremy's going to head that way. Jeremy's heading that way. She's on the other.
All right.
Okay, so you're staying there, or?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and make sure nobody runs it over or anything else. I mean,
I have a art reporting party staying there until a deputy gets there to block, so nobody hits them again. There is a reporting party that's going to sit there with flashers on until... Okay, I appreciate it. Can I get your name and, well, you're going to be there. Okay.
Yeah, my name...
Okay, are you the one I just talked to?
No.
Oh, okay, because I had another Tyler call me, too. Okay.
Oh.
What is your phone number?
It's, let me remember my, 580. I'm on my work phone, but I don't ever remember that number. That's my personal phone number I just gave you.
Okay, no, that's fine. Just for my logs of all the 911 calls I'm getting on it. But, I do have the sheriff headed there and an undersheriff headed there, too.
All right.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Under Sheriff Jimmy Williams of the Jefferson County Police is the first to head out to the scene. He's soon joined by Sheriff Jeremy Wilson and members of Terrell's volunteer fire department who helped to secure the scene. Wilson, who's been around the block a few times when it comes to accidents and horrible crashes, has never seen anything like this before. A deceased person who appears to have been dumped at the location as opposed to being a victim of a hit and run. When he arrives, he finds the 911 caller and a young man named Jack Newton. Newton pulled up to the scene in his truck right around 6 a.m., and he went right over to the body. He tells Tyler, the 911 caller, that it's his best friend, 19-year-old Noah Alexander Presgrove. Noah is a handsome, athletic young man from Comanche, Oklahoma, who's just graduated from Comanche High School. Noah became emancipated from his family at age 17, and he's planning to enlist in the military with his cousin. Noah's grandmother, Deborah Smith, who helped raise him, while his mother, Casey Elliott, dealt with substance abuse issues, later said of Noah, "He was a good, respectful kid. So many people cared about him." End quote. At 6 feet 1 inch tall, with a lean physique and a natural athletic talent, Noah played football at Comanche High, was on the wrestling team, and also ran track. These abilities, along with soulful brown eyes, a thick mop of dark hair, and a great sense of humor, made Noah a very popular guy at school. This adds to the mystery of why he's lying battered and bruised on the side of Highway 81, with a multitude of serious head and neck injuries, including a fracture that has split his skull in two. An autopsy will later reveal abrasions to Noah's left eyebrow, the corner of his left eye and left cheek, and the front of his left ear. There are also lacerations to the left side of his neck and even the left surface of his tongue. In addition, his left parietal, temporal, and front bones are fractured, and there's a clump of hair on Noah's right buttock without blood or tissue. Clearly, something battered Noah, primarily on the left side of his head and neck. Inside his broken skull, his brain is swollen. Some of Noah's fingers are also torn up, as if they were maybe dragged along the pavement, and a portion of his scalp is torn off. And those are only a portion of the injuries listed in the official autopsy report. That autopsy was performed the next day, on September 5th at 1 p.m. in Oklahoma City, by pathologist Dr. Leonardo Rockero. Rockero concluded that the cause of death was multiple blunt force injuries along with internal bleeding. However, he was unable to say what the manner of death was, so he deemed it, quote, undetermined. As to Sheriff Wilson, who showed up on the side of Highway 81 after 6 a.m., he suspects from the jump that this whole scene isn't quite adding up. It's as if someone tried to make it look like a hit and run when it's missing some of the classic elements of such a situation. Noah's shoes are still on, there are no skid marks on the road, and no vehicle parts or debris. Now, when interviewed by People magazine, Sheriff Wilson said this: "What I saw from the very beginning, I personally did not believe this was a hit and run. There was blood on the scene, but not as much as there should have been. Let me put it that way. Even if you were hit by a passenger car by highway speeds that night, there should have been a lot more blood. What's more, there was not a lot of road rash, like he slid, like he got hit at 65 miles per hour. That was not the case. Also odd, there were no vehicular parts." End quote. Sheriff Wilson did notice several items on the pavement a few feet away from Noah. They include part of a molar tooth, a clump of hair within one of the lanes of the highway, and 3 pieces of a silver-plated chain necklace that Noah had received from his grandmother and that he wore every day. And those neatly folded white printed shorts nearby showed no observable damage. Adding to the intrigue, there's a drawing in black ink of a stick figure person on the side of Noah's right thigh. A very strange crime scene indeed. At some point, someone puts a white sheet over Noah's body. Likely this was done to keep Noah's friends, who gradually turn up at the scene, from seeing Noah's gruesome injuries, and perhaps to give Noah some privacy in death. A board-certified forensic pathologist named Priya Banjari, who will later look at the autopsy report for People magazine, said, quote, "I can't look at the injuries and say I know exactly how these occurred. Was it a car accident, like a hit and run? Was it an intentional strike with a vehicle? Did someone beat him up and dump him? There's so many possibilities, and nothing about the injury pattern will help narrow it down further," end quote. But of the lack of blood at the scene, Dr. Banerjee notes that Noah's neck and skull injuries would have meant rapid death, and thus they would have yielded little bleeding. Trying to find out how Noah went from having fun with his friends at this extended birthday party to dying from these horrific injuries is where the story gets murky. His friends who were at the party, including his best friend from preschool, Jack Newton, have consistently said that they have no clue how Noah sustained the injuries, even though some of them were awake at the party when whatever happened, happened. And the stories that these so-called friends tell about Noah's last hours alive are wildly inconsistent, making it seem as though the truth is just a wispy cloud in the distance, forever changing shape. Of course, if Noah was beaten, the person or persons who did it aren't going to want to admit to it, and those who possibly witnessed this or heard about it are likely too afraid to speak. I mean, if someone could do this to Noah, what's to prevent that person or persons from harming someone else? But the truth has a funny way of rising to the surface eventually. No matter how hard people try to hide it, it just requires a little patience, persistence, and prodding. Now let's journey back to when Noah was still alive so that we can try to understand the events that led up to his brutal death. On the evening of Saturday, September 2nd, Noah first shows up at this party. He drives himself in his own vehicle. While at the gathering, Noah gets into a heated argument with his best buddy, Jack. The argument is supposedly sparked by Noah huddling in a corner with Jack's girlfriend, Carter Combs. Carter is Avery Joe's sister. Jack will later tell a friend that the argument with Noah was about girls for a second, but then they ended up holding each other, crying, and telling each other how much they meant to one another. Sounds like off-the-tracks boozy behavior to me. Now, Jack apparently was miffed because he felt Noah was maybe flirting with Carter. To me, this fight and story scream jealousy and insecurity, as in Jack was perhaps insecure and also maybe jealous of Noah. We all know that friends can be jealous sometimes, even of their best friend. At some point Saturday night, some of Noah's friends, including Avery, write their names on his bare derriere with a black marker. Now, Noah drove home late that night and he showered, so it's not clear how much of the writing in black marker he was able to get off, if any. Okay, so the next day comes around. It's now Sunday, September 3rd. Jack calls and texts Noah, inviting him to come back out to the party. Noah reluctantly agrees to head over for a little while, but he says that he wants to get home early. He shows up wearing black shorts. Soon, Noah and his friends are tossing down drinks once more and participating in what they call, quote, the slapping game. Can you smell the testosterone? Noah dares his friends, both the girls and the guys, to slap and or hit him as hard as they can in the face. Some of this game was captured on video. In the video, we can see Noah on the back patio repeatedly asking a friend named Brian Sweat to hit him. Eventually his pleas are answered. Brian hits Noah and then quickly turns and runs away out of fear of retaliation. In the background of the video, another teenager is seen holding a rifle, and although they aren't seen in this video, a shotgun and an AR-15 are also at the home. This video was posted to Snapchat at 1:42 a.m. on Monday morning. So very, very late into Sunday night into early Monday morning, according to people who watched it in real time. It's not long before Noah becomes embroiled in yet another fight, this time with a friend named Mikey. Mikey accuses Noah of hiding his cell phone. Noah's family will later claim that Mikey fish-hooked Noah and had his finger bitten in retaliation. But some friends at the party insist that this argument never turned physical. Eventually, Mikey's phone is found under another friend who was sleeping on the sofa. Noah and Mikey later make up, and all is good, supposedly. Now, sometime between midnight and 3 a.m., depending on which kid you ask, Noah and some other guys take Jack's Polaris side-by-side ATV out for a drunken joyride. Jack has said that he was sleeping when this ATV spin took place, and says that when he went to bed at 1:50 a.m., he took both his thermal rifle and his ATV keys with him to prevent people from shooting and driving drunk. Jack further claims that Noah must have snuck in the bedroom and secretly taken the keys. Now, while Noah is driving the ATV, he accidentally flipped it. No bueno. Thankfully, none of the joyriders, including Noah, showed signs of visible injury. They all seemed to be good. The question is, when did Jack find out that Noah flipped his ATV, and how did he feel about it? I would imagine Jack wasn't all too thrilled. He later described the ATV as getting, quote, wrecked. Okay, so after the drunken spin on the ATV, Noah returns to Avery Joe's house. He's covered in dirt. So two of the females at the party, Carter Combs and Jasmine Millen, give him a shower because he's supposedly too drunk to do it himself. Yeah, I know. After the shower, Noah puts on a fresh pair of shorts that I think may have belonged to Jack Newton. Jack later described these shorts as, quote, loose-fitting wrestling shorts, end quote. I'm going to speculate a little bit here and ask you guys a question. Do you think Jack said loose-fitting to explain why the shorts weren't on Noah's body when he was discovered on the side of the highway? To me, that wording seems just a little bit too deliberate. Just my opinion. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. By the way, some of the friends at the party have said that Noah was barely responsive during this whole shower situation. And still, the party rages on. Later, according to some of the friends, Noah allegedly had yet another argument, this time with the birthday girl, Avery Joe, about whether or not he could sleep in her bed. Avery Joe tells him no and that he has to sleep on the floor. Avery Joe supposedly refused Noah because he had allegedly messed with her friend the night before. At least that is what Jack has said. Per the friend, this is when Noah wandered off outside to clear his head. One friend named Stephanie wrote in a Snapchat message later on that Noah walked off to clear his head, but he wasn't mad and there was no beef. We don't know why he got mad. No one had beef, end quote. But again, this is the story that Noah's friends are telling. We can't really be sure of all of this because Noah isn't here to tell his side of the story. Per the friends, they don't see Noah again until the time his body is found on the side of the highway. And remember, By the time Noah's body was found, most of the doodles on his derriere are gone. Did he wash them off when he showered on Saturday night? But there apparently was more doodling done on the front of his body on Sunday. Where did those doodles go? Nobody seems to know. Here's what Jack Newton, who again insists he was asleep when Noah died, told a friend via text messages after the party. Quote, "He wasn't beat up. You know I loved him more than anyone, and I want justice for him so bad. He deserved it, but I'm really still thinking it had something to do with hit and run." The other person asks, what about him being in the shower? Jack replies, "So I, according to everyone that was awake, all close friends, said that he wrecked my SXX, which I think is the ATV, I had there, around 3. And he was super dirty, and so a couple of girls helped in the shower. And when he got out, he wanted to sleep in one girl's bed, and she said no, said that upset him, and he walked off." End quote. But the details as to what happened seem to be in debate, as is whether or not Noah was done in where his body was found, or if he ever even left the party alive. But here's a fact. At 3:41 a.m., a girl at the party posted a photo with the words, "Noah is missing." And according to a private investigator who was asked to look into the case by her grandson, who knew Noah Presgrove, the kids at the party allegedly knew by 4 a.m. that Noah was dead. This is what the PI said she discovered, but the kids at the party aren't admitting to this publicly, so I'm going to say this is all allegedly. Keep in mind that 911 wasn't dialed until 5:53 a.m. by that passing truck driver. So if the kids knew Noah was dead at 4 a.m., why didn't anyone call the police? And why can't they all explain how he died? We know that Tyler stayed on the scene near Noah's body. Tyler's the truck driver, remember, as he waited for first responders. And according to him, sometime around 6 a.m., while it was still dark outside, Noah's best buddy, Jack, pulls up in his truck. Jack claims that he basically stumbled upon the scene that morning as he was heading out to go fishing with his father and grandfather. He only stops when he sees a semi-truck on the road near a body. Jack will later tell People magazine, quote, "I saw lights, so I started slowing down. I could see Noah's body in the headlights out of the truck." End quote. Tyler described Jack's behavior at the scene like this, quote, "When Jack pulled up, he walked to the body, and I walked over and asked him if he knew who it was. And then I pulled him away from the body because he's talking about being his best friend." End quote. Now, according to some witnesses, when Jack arrived at that crime scene, he showed little to no emotion. And bizarrely, he took the folded white shorts from the pavement and left. He then came back with a different pair of shorts, and he laid them beside Noah. Weird. At 6 a.m., news of the horrible finding gets back to the house where the party is. Some of the girls and some parents, allegedly, clean up the house inside and out. And according to some people, the house ends up smelling of bleach, allegedly. And here's a sort of ominous detail. Several people who attended the party noticed that some golf clubs were bent. To me, and this is just my opinion, it sounds like those golf clubs played a role in Noah's death. Could that have been the object that caused all those injuries to the left side of his head and neck? So far, no one has been charged in connection with Noah's death, and the question remains: hit and run or foul play? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories. Now, if you enjoyed this or learned anything, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel.
Punch me. I want to
No. Come on. Yes, Shady. Come on, Shady. Oh! Damn. Damn.
this range, I will fucking. Dude, I'll just beat the. Kyle was talking about that hit me.
Like, I'm actually completely not. I would just rather, you know, I don't know where.
No, you slap me. I slap you. As far as I can. No, I do trust you. Just, I trust hit me. I trust hit me then. I trust hit me. You're really hit me soon. Go ahead. See, I wasn't going.
Music in it.
Which one?
Yeah,
we got it.
You see my wiener.
Country Pimp. One-on-one. Mike Tyson. I know.